now. There's a new self-help group for another of our compulsions. It's called Sarcastics Anonymous. And it's, everyone knows someone who's sarcastic, and its aim is to help both the victims and the sufferers of what's often called the lowest form of wit. Would you please welcome Peter Crofts, who is a comedy teacher and one of the 2 Australian members, and in our studio in Los Angeles, the founder of the group, Dr. Virginia Tooper. Please welcome them both. Welcome, Peter. Virginia, you come armed, eh? You think that's the way people see sarcasm?
Oh, yes. Can you see that now?
Sure can.
Okay, I'm going to take it off now because that's my symbol.
Tell us about, I mean, what is sarcasm? I guess people here, the moment I mentioned the word, people have a husband or a wife or someone they know who's especially sarcastic. What's the difference between wit and sarcasm?
Well, actually, wit and sarcasm are kind of intertwined. The dictionary definition of sarcasm is a cutting or bitter remark delivered with contempt, but I have my own version of it. My own version has to do with the fact that it's in the eyes of the beholder. So sarcasm is what you see. And if you want to think of something sarcastic, when I came in, they asked me, I said, I want to see a picture of Ray so that I can have it up by the camera so that I can see what he looks like. So I have this picture here, but unfortunately they didn't give me the picture until I had already drawn one from your description, so we'd like to show it. And several people told me, except for the beard, it was a rather good likeness of you.
It certainly is, certainly is. That's not sarcastic at all.
Well, see, sarcasm can be hand-drawn, too.
All right. Peter, what do you think? How would you describe the difference between sarcasm and wit?
Well, of course, sarcasm is wit.
It can be very funny, can't it?
It can be very... it can be very quick and be very cruel and can be very nasty, very painful. But it can also be very positive, too, like the lady who was having trouble with the Playboy type. This Playboy Casanova just would not take no for an answer. Finally, she said, my awareness of your proclivities and the entertaining aspects of physical behaviour preclude you from such erotic confrontation. He said, I don't get it. She said, exactly. So it can work, too.
Virginia, why did you feel the need to set up Sarcastics Anonymous?
Well, actually, I've been a sarcastic all my life, and now I'm a recovering sarcastic. Can I show you my T-shirt? I made it myself.
Right.
There it is. Isn't that nice? And I'm a recovering sarcastic myself. Once upon a time, I decided that I was losing a lot of perfectly good boyfriends through the indiscriminate use of funny remarks. So I decided that I would start Sarcastics Anonymous so that I could, really find out who else needed some help that way. And I have basically 3 categories. You see, actually, for me, I was down to only 1 friend, and she wasn't calling. And now I'm happy to tell everybody here today that I do have 4 friends, even though one of them has me on probation. Now, there are basically 3 categories of Sarcastics Anonymous, so I wonder how many people in the audience would categorize themselves in any one of the 3. Can I tell you the 3 now?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. The first category is the category that I'm in, and that's people who are sarcastic and want to get over it because they're losing all of their friends. And I can give you an example in just a moment. The second group are people who are sarcastic, kind of enjoy it, want to meet other people of like mind, skill, ability, and wit on which to practice their sarcasm. And the third group may be the largest of all of my membership. And by the way, I'm glad that 50% of my whole Australian membership is there today. The third group, Sarcanon, that's for people who have to live and work with sarcastics.
Let me just stop you there. Let me just ask people, there were jabs across the way, people digging friends in the ribs over here. Are you suggesting this lady's sarcastic? There you go. Now, so she's now do you see yourself, will you own up to being sarcastic?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Let's ask people generally, those who think that they are sarcastic. Come on, be honest. Here you go, there's an honest man up here, an honest lady, a couple of ladies. Several more ladies. Those who would like to meet like-minded people to compare wits. Let's go to the third group, those who are victims of sarcastic spouses or work with them. Even some of those who admit to being. All right. Well, where do you put yourself, Peter?
Oh, well, I'm definitely a recovery sarcastic, Ray. I mean, when I was a kid, I used it very effectively as insult. I was oversensitive when I was a kid, and I used to get in first at school. I'd go home, write a few lines, come back to school the next day. Is that your nose? You're eating a banana. You've got the type of face that grows in a person. I'm only glad it didn't grow on me. It's the little things in life that count. Why don't you use your head as an outsider? Why don't you come down to the bay on Saturday and I'll give you a lesson in drowning? So I went overboard with it, of course, and since then I've given it up cold turkey. I went 3 years without doing a line, and I didn't eat much either. I was frightened to open my mouth. But sure, I'm recovering from being a sarcastic, Ray.
Well, let's, Virginia, give us the advice, as most people figure that they're not sarcastic, but they have to put up, they're victims of it. What should they do?
I have a good example of a woman who called me from another state, and she said, I am sweet, gentle, and teasing, but my mean old husband is bitter and vicious. And I said, give me an example. And she said, well, the other night we were sitting watching television, and I said, you know, you've got such a pot belly there, I'm going to have to buy a domed casket to bury you in. Now, that's her version of sweet, gentle, teasing. But her husband looked back at her, and she had had a double mastectomy about 6 months earlier, and he looked back at her after she said that to him, and he said, at least I'll be buried with all my parts. And I had people call in, and I asked people, do you think she was sarcastic, he was sarcastic, she wasn't? Was she just teasing, or was she sarcastic too?
What do you say?
Well, actually, I think anyone who starts it gets extra points. Possibly his was a little more vicious, but she gets extra points for having started it.
Well, do you think the answer is, for those people who are genuine victims and perhaps can't match their wits against someone who's especially sarcastic, is it, do you turn the other cheek? Is it really like water off a duck's back? You don't respond? Is that the best answer?
Oh, now we're getting into my 3 techniques. When someone hits you with a sarcastic remark, you have 3 choices. You can play dumb, you can deflect it, or you can attack back. Now, as a full-blown sarcastic, and every now and then I still fall off the wagon, I have to admit that, but as a full-blown sarcastic, I would always attack back. So let me give you an example. Not too awfully long ago, someone came up to me and said, oh, Virginia, I see you make all your own clothes. And I looked back. Yeah, and so I looked back at her and I said, yeah, I studied with your mother. Now, I don't do that anymore, Ray. Ray, that's all behind me. I don't do that anymore. Now I suggest you play dumb or deflect it. It's sort of verbal aikido. So if someone comes up to you at a party and says, I see you make your own clothes, if you're going to play dumb, you'll say, yes, and this is one of my very best, don't you think?
Right.
Now, that's playing dumb. Just act like you didn't get it, and that really makes sarcastics upset.
Peter, what's your advice then? What would you do, Pete?
I'd go along with that, sure. Me, I'm still at the stage where I do like to attack occasionally, but my wife is fantastic at that. The other morning when I finished shaving, I said I feel 10 years younger. As quick as a flash, she said, well, why don't you shave at night before you go to bed? So I'm learning too.
All right, we're out of time, folks. Let me read one here which was sent out, in fact, by Virginia, but it was a classic. In a letter to Winston Churchill, George Bernard Shaw is reported to have said, Dear Mr. Churchill, enclosed are 2 tickets to my play that opens on Thursday night. Please come and bring a friend if you have one. Now, Churchill replied, Dear Mr. Shaw, I can't be there Thursday as I have a previous engagement. However, I will attend the second performance if there is one. Which is pretty good. Virginia, can people
Ray,
like...
that's my very favorite one, and it's all I can do. I use it a lot, and it's all I could do to not butt in and answer it for you.
It's a good one. It's terrific. Now, you're writing a book, How to Be a Truly Great, Top-of-the-Line, Fantastic, Ultimate, Sarcastic. A few quick tips?
Oh, yes. When you're just starting out, one of the best things to do is buy an insult book. and sit down and start out by writing people's names down by any insult that you see that they match up very well with.
All right, that's the first tip. We thank you for that.
Yeah.
We can put people in touch with you. Those who want help or would like to match wits with Sarcastics Anonymous, we can put them in touch with Peter and Virginia. Virginia, thank you very much indeed for talking to us tonight. And Peter, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Ray.
Bye,
Please thank.
Peter.
See you later,
I just
Virginia.
wanna say goodbye to Peter.
Okay.
See you, love.
Thank them both very much indeed. Please. Sarcastics Anonymous. After break, always at a light of the show, Sue Cruikshank sings just for you.